In this video, I'm going to share with you how to grow your coaching business and do so in a way that's joyful, energy rich, and doesn't have you sacrificing your health or your lifestyle in the process. So in this video, I'm going to share first why it's important to grow a coaching business, and I'm going to share some of the challenges that I see other people face when they're looking to grow their practice, and also some of the challenges that I faced myself. I'm also going to share some of the common challenges that people face when it comes time to grow their coaching practice, and quite honestly, some of the challenges that I myself faced. In terms of solutions to these challenges, I'm going to share the importance of alignment with your identity such that the business that you create aligns with who you really are, what you really care about, how you want to live your life, what's your purpose and your values, and all that good stuff. We're also going to make sure that what we're creating is lifestyle friendly so that it doesn't take away from your health or your well-being or your happiness, and that you're not constantly spending more time to make more money. To that end, I'm going to cover different business models that you might want to consider to scale your coaching business. And then we're going to look at branding so that you can attract inbound clients and leads with grace and ease. We're also going to touch on marketing and different strategies to get yourself out into the world and attract opportunities on a regular basis. I'll also get into marketing and the ways that you can consistently put yourself out into the world so that you can drive new leads and opportunities. Going to talk briefly about sales and a different approach to sales that can help make enrollment feel more high integrity and also have higher conversion. And finally, I'm going to get into the importance of building a crew around you, even if you don't have money to invest in hiring employees just yet. Growing and scaling your coaching business is the key to having not only more income, but also more impact. When you scale your business, that means you can touch more people and you can have a broader impact in the world. Some of the common challenges that I faced and that I see a lot of other coaches face when it comes to growing their business is this belief that you have to hustle to make it happen. Essentially, in our culture, we are constantly bombarded with the idea that you have to sacrifice in order to succeed, and that there's honor in the hustle. And a lot of us, including me, I used to do this, we wear our busyness like a badge of honor. I'm so busy all the time. And what I want to bring your attention to is, as a coach, you are helping other people step into a better life. And so if you are constantly sacrificing and struggling and working hard, you're not going to be that inspiring to other people, whether on a conscious level or even on a subconscious one. People want their coach to be successful, and they want their coach to be someone who embodies what they're looking to embody in their own life. Another challenge that commonly comes up is that coaches tend to do business in a one-on-one model. And one-on-one is great, and it's absolutely a fantastic way to start as a coach, but it limits your growth potential, and quite honestly, it limits your income and your impact. Ultimately, you're limited by how many hours you have in a day, and if you can only see one client at a time, you will start to hit that limit pretty quick if you're any good at what you do. Most coaching models out there are pretty limiting because they are exchanging time for money. The solution to these problems is to start thinking about monetizing your magic instead of monetizing your time and your effort. And what that looks like is to find ways to monetize the things you love to do the most and the things you're absolutely the best at. In other words, to find alignment between what you love to do and who you really are and how you make money. So the very first, most fundamental thing that you must do in order to grow your coaching business in a way that feels joyful and energy rich is what I like to refer to as alignment. Specifically, identity alignment. Identity alignment is all about the business fitting you. So the analogy that I like to use in order to show what I mean by identity alignment is that of the clothes that you wear, right? So you can wear clothes that don't fit you very well. And actually, you can get away with that. They might look okay from the outside looking in. But if your clothes don't fit well and they're uncomfortable, it's gonna get old fast. Imagine if your tag is digging into your neck, your waistband is too tight or your shoes are causing blisters, people from the outside looking in might not notice, but you feel it. And at the end of the day, all you want to do is get home and rip off all those clothes. And that's what it's like to be in a business that doesn't fit you. That's what it's like to be in a business that doesn't align. Now, I learned this the hard way. In fact, I have a really powerful story, I think, at least it was powerful in my life, about how I realized this. About 10 years ago, I was on stage and I was interviewing Eugenia Kim, my very best friend from college. Now, Eugenia and I were best friends in college, and then we had sort of gone our own separate ways, and we didn't connect that much. But in the meantime, over those years that we were apart, Eugenia built an extremely successful multi-million-dollar hat design business. In fact, she was famous. Jennifer Lopez wore one of her hats to the Grammys years ago, and she just became a superstar celebrity hat designer. Now, in those same years that Eugenia was building up this business, I was starting to build up my career and my business. I was probably about, at this point, 3 or 4 years into my business, and I had started running this event called the Women's Success Summit. Now, this event, I produced it myself, and I would get hundreds of women to the event. And for the several months leading up to the event, I was exhausted. I was trying to get people to enroll in the event. I created the websites myself. I got the sponsorships. I designed the sponsorship packages. I dealt with each sponsor myself. I did everything. So by the time the event rolled around, and I was on stage, I had invited Eugenia to come in and let me interview her in front of all my women, in front of all these people. And so we're on stage together. I'm on one side of the sofa, she's on the other, and I'm interviewing her. And through the course of the interview, as I'm asking her about her business, I'm getting more and more envious. I asked Eugenia, what do you do all day? Tell me about a day in your life. Do you go to the office? And she said, no, I don't really go to the office because I don't really like doing all that admin work. Instead, I go down to Soho or I go down to Chinatown and I look at fabrics and I get ideas. Sometimes I go to the museum, and basically I just spend my time being creative, and I let my team do all the admin and accounting and stuff like that. And as she went on, I had this realization right there on stage. And in fact, I'll even show you a picture. We can cut in with a picture of that moment on stage when I realized that Eugenia had built an entire business based on her strengths, and I had built an entire business, and I was building an entire business doing mostly stuff that I hated. That's what I mean when I talk about alignment. At its very core, fundamentally, your business, first and foremost, has to fit you. It has to be aligned with your gifts and your strengths and what you love to do. Eugenia never felt like she was working because she would have done all that stuff anyways. But I, on the other hand, was muscling through, hustling, sacrificing, and struggling to make something happen that wasn't really aligned with who I really was. I didn't love doing it. So as you consider how to grow your coaching business, I want you to remember to keep your desires, your strengths, your gifts, your values front and center. And before you build anything, make sure that what you're building sounds like something you really enjoy doing. So for example, as you're looking at different business models, there's certain models that work really well for people who love gathering with other people. And there are certain models that work really well with people who would prefer to spend their time creating content or publishing or building a platform. These are two really different approaches to growing your coaching practice. So I invite you to really get clear about what you're going to enjoy most so that you can start to pick a path that aligns with your truest identity. The second thing to look at is your lifestyle and how do you want to live your life? What's your vision for your life? See, so often entrepreneurs, and I'm going to say it, especially women, we end up doing all the work and then our life has to fit into what's left over at the end of the day. And this is a recipe for exhaustion and illness and resentment. And so once you're clear about who you really are and what's aligned with your strengths and your gifts, the next thing to look at is what do you really want in your life and what's aligned with the way you want to live it. So for example, if you're a young mother and you have kids in grade school, you might want to have your business fit around school hours. You might want to be done with work every day at 3 p.m. when your kids come walking through the door. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, and yet so often it's not how people approach business. So number 2, make sure that you've got clarity on what kind of lifestyle you want so that then you can fit the business around that. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest problems that I see when people are looking to grow their coaching business is that they focus on a one-on-one model. Now, that's a great way to start a coaching business, but it's not a great way to scale unless, of course, you're willing to charge a whole lot of money for your one-on-one coaching services. That said, having a one-on-one practice and having mastered the art of delivering results to clients in a one-on-one format is a great foundation upon which to build a larger model. Here's an example. I worked with clients one-on-one for years, and by the time I was getting sick of it and ready to move on into a new model, I had developed a pretty good coaching methodology. I developed a coaching methodology if I was doing a full day with a client, a half day with a client, and even structures for individual conversations. So then I was able to take that format and turn it into a 3-day retreat. So in the 3-day retreat, I would run people through that same thing that I used to do in one full day, one-on-one. I'd run it with a group over the course of 3 days. So moving from a one-on-one model to a group model is one really easy way to very quickly have a quantum leap in your capacity, the amount of clients that you can work with, and also in your income. Now, I'm not going to go deep into business models in this video because I have so many videos about this topic. In fact, I invite you and encourage you to check out my business models playlist up above, because right there you'll find a whole bunch of different videos, not only on business models in general, but also on specific models like a retreats model or a group coaching model or a mastermind model even. The 4th thing to look at is your brand. Now, your brand is how you put your identity out into the world. I often use the analogy of a butterfly garden. Your brand is the equivalent of planting flowers in a garden to attract butterflies, aka your clients. So what that looks like when you're a coach is often putting out thought leadership, putting out content, putting out teachings, and showing people what you know, what your wisdom is, what kind of expertise you have, and developing trust and credibility from afar first. One of the things that you can do in this realm of branding is to define your signature system. This is absolutely one of the best foundations to build your brand on top of. Your signature system is the exact steps you use or the exact process or methodology that you've identified through the years of your experience to take people from point A to point B. Point A being where they are today and point B being where they want to be. When you define that and create it as something that's replicatable, and then when you name it, for example, mine is the Superstar Business Framework. When you find what it is and then you name it, that means you own it. And once you own it, that means it's uniquely yours and you can protect it. And you can use it as a cornerstone of your branding. Hi, I'm Michelle Villalobos. I'm the creator of the Superstar Business Framework, right? That sounds a lot better than I'm a business coach, right? Another piece of important branding is to identify who you're for. Who is the audience that you serve? What do they need? What do they struggle with? And then addressing those problems. So a big part of your branding is figuring out what's your mission and what's your message, and how the mission and message can be deployed in the world to connect with your ideal audience and attract them to you like butterflies to a garden. When it comes to marketing your coaching services, there are so many different ways to do it that I couldn't possibly get into them all here. But I will say this. It all comes back to alignment again. See, one of the problems I see a lot of coaches have with marketing is that they're forcing themselves to do marketing that they can't stand. So I can't tell you how many times I've come across a coach who's like, oh, I need to do a blog. I hate writing my blog. And they're pushing themselves and then berating themselves because they're not doing it. My advice for you is this. Figure out what comes naturally, what feels joyful and energy rich, and do that first, and then repurpose that into other areas. Here's a quick example. This video right here. When I post this video to YouTube, guess what YouTube does? It generates an automatic transcript of everything I said. Then guess what I do? I grab that transcript and I throw it into a blog post, edit it up a little bit, put a video on there, and voila, now I have a blog post. And then I grab the first couple paragraphs of that blog post, go put it in my email marketing platform, boom, send out an email every single week. Now I've taken something that comes pretty naturally to me and I've turned it into 2 more avenues of marketing. So do that. Think about what comes naturally to you, what do you love to do, and then think about, can you repurpose that into other areas of marketing? The 6th thing that you must do in order to grow your coaching business is to master the art of enrollment, aka sales. You can't be a great coach, and you certainly can't be a prosperous one if you don't know how to enroll people into your programs. Now, there are a lot of coaches out there that take on a very hard sell approach to sales. I'm not one of them. I have a philosophy that I call sales as service. And what that means is that you create your sales process in such a way that the process itself delivers value to people whether they buy or not. And I also have a fundamental belief that for us to be powerful in sales, we can't be attached to outcomes of sales conversations. So in my world and with my clients, almost all of us, if not every single one of us, we use a sales conversation strategy. We're not creating sales funnels. We're not trying to sell through emails. All of the things that we do for marketing, we're doing in order to get people to have a meaningful conversation. And in that meaningful conversation, the objective is to help people gain insight, perspective, clarity, new ideas, any number of things that are going to help them whether or not they choose to buy. And here's the other thing. With sales as service, your number one objective is not to close a deal. Actually, your number one objective is always, first and foremost, to serve the relationship, which means that you are making sure that only if someone is really an aligned fit and only if you know that you can deliver value to them, that's the only time that you make an offer. So the idea is that you're in service on that conversation and that you trust that when you're in service, the right clients will follow. That's what it means to be unattached. And lastly, one of the most important things you can tap into when it comes to growing your coaching business is the power of the collective, what I call your crew. Now, your crew might look different than mine. My crew are my clients generally, but my clients are the ones that bring in new clients all the time. Now, I have a whole lot of other marketing strategies, but my crew is that community that brings in the very best new clients. Another way your crew can support you is by giving you feedback and helping you up-level and iterate your offerings. In the beginning, it was hard for me to hear critical feedback from my own clients, but now I've created a few avenues that are formalized for my clients, my crew, to give me feedback and allow me to make the offering better and more valuable. And one final note about how to grow a coaching business. It is fundamental that if you are enrolling people in coaching programs and you are telling people that coaching can change their lives, that you be congruent with that message. That means that you need to be getting coaching and you need to be investing in coaching at least at the same level that you're asking your clients to. If you're looking to grow your coaching practice and you think I might be the right person to help you do it, let's connect. Go to superstaractivator.com/go or click on the link below and set up a time for us to chat. I promise you that no matter what happens on that call, I will serve you and I will give you a tremendous amount of insight and perspective that will help you as you move forward and grow your coaching business.